I'm Chris Kaczmarek. I'm from New York City, and this is Labyrinth. The important things to know about the sculpture are that there's no sort of dictate into how to interact with it, how to know the sculpture, how to approach it. It's an invitation. You know, a labyrinth isn't a maze. Sometimes those are confused. A maze is, you know, a puzzle or something to be vexing. You know, a labyrinth is really just a path, and it's a path that you choose to take. I would hope that a first-time observer, as they walk down the trail here, they may see this. They may see this little path that leads to it. They may follow that path. They may choose to interact with the labyrinth. They may choose to follow it all the way through the center, and then from the center back out as it's traditionally used. They may just look at it as an aesthetic experience, and that's all valid, that's all legitimate, that's all good. I really want it to be a space where people are feeling that they're welcome, and that they're welcome to be more deeply engaged in the space that they inhabit and in their internal dialogue as well. What was my inspiration for a labyrinth? That's a good question. I mean, the labyrinth itself is a very ancient structure. It's been around for many thousands of years. I can't claim any ownership of it. This is the Seventh Circuit Classic Labyrinth, which is perhaps one of the oldest labyrinth structures around. But in terms of how I got here and wanted to put a labyrinth in this space, it actually began when I went on the Camino de Santiago with my wife back in, I think, 2016. I went on this walk, this Camino, and I found out that a lot of the outcomes, a lot of the things that happened through that experience were things that I wanted my viewers or my interactors with my artworks to experience through their interaction with my work. And so this idea of walking, this idea of pilgrimage became embedded in my psyche as a way of engaging with people in a way that people engage with their world and with communities and with space. And so I started unpacking that and thinking about praxis of making through walking. And that led me to many different things, and one of that was the idea of a labyrinth, which is sometimes thought of as a stand-in for a pilgrimage. And through that investigation in the forms of labyrinths, I became interested in how labyrinths became site-specific spaces where people would activate a space, interact with a space, and have an altered, a changed, and perhaps even an enhanced understanding of a space once they've inhabited the labyrinth, a way that they've changed themselves through this. It is a tool for meditation quite often. And from all of this, my interest in labyrinths, my interest in walking, my interest in art, my interest in interaction, I saw the call from the New Canaan Land Trust for sculptures, for this new sculpture trail, and I thought this would be fabulous. And luckily for me, the board also thought the same thing. That's the long story on how I got interested in labyrinth and how it got here. Yeah, with its relationship to Earth Day, I mean, Earth Day is about our relationship to the planet, our relationship as human beings to nature, and this piece specifically is about inhabiting a natural space and activating that space with your presence and reorienting your sort of knowledge and perception of that space. And I would hope when in this beautiful setting, when you're spending time, the more time that you spend addressing that space and using the labyrinth as a tool to address that space, the more deeply you'll be able to resonate with your relationship to that space as a human being and your responsibility to that space as someone that does have agency over it. The labyrinth as a meditation tool does a couple things that really benefit people who wish to spend some time meditating. First of all, well, it takes some time. You know, the path, I haven't done the math, but it takes about 6 minutes in, 6 minutes out, depending on how quickly you're walking. So it gives you the time to focus. It inhabits space. You know, one of the things that we've mentioned before is this sort of awareness of space and activating the space with your presence. And that space is both internal and external. You're aware of the world around you, but also as it's a focused path, once you've taken the choice to follow this path, you don't have to choose a left or a right, or am I going straight? You don't have to worry about a stoplight or a stop sign or a car crossing the street. It's a free path, it's an open path, and it's one that once you've chosen, you can follow without distraction. And that allows you to be able to internalize some of your thoughts. I recommend, if you're really interested in using this as a meditative tool, which a lot of people do, is to sort of formulate a question and not search for an answer, but just sort of explore that question during your walk and find your way to the middle, spend some time there, and then find your way back out. The ways that walking, meditation, and art interact are multifaceted. I mean, when we look at the purposes of art, there's sort of decorative arts, there's practical arts, there's applied arts. For this, I kind of think of this as a social art. You know, you are hopefully being transformed through the experience of interacting with it, which I think is one of the best things about art. Whether you're looking at a painting, experiencing a sculpture, or watching a film, whatever, a good work of art has transformed you through the experience of experiencing that work of art. And so hopefully, as I said, through this walking practice, you're transformed through the experience, through the ability to spend more time in a space, through the ability to have a structure that changes your relationship through the space, through that time and that interaction. Hopefully you come out changed. You come out with a new outlook on yourself and on the space, which, as I said, is what I view good art is doing.